What is going on, everybody? This is Dylan with Dylan Talks Tone. This is your weekly gear news update. Let's just say I am very excited about what we're going to talk about today because, well, let's just get into it. Do me a favor, if you like guitar stuff, hit the subscribe button and the like button and do all the things that you normally do there. There will be links to all the stuff that we find in the description below. If you use those links, it will help out the channel. I do appreciate it. So let's chat. There will also be ad-free versions of all this stuff on Patreon. We're doing that now too. So, excuse me. So let's check this out. We got some really cool news that I'm really excited about. Okay, this first thing is interesting. Mr. Black has just come out with a new pedal, and it's called the High Five. Basically, the idea, it's an octaver pedal, but it has a specific purpose, and that is to basically be able to play like power chords with one finger. So it's got two knobs. There's two main knobs here we'll get to, the fifth and the octave, and basically you can use those to vary. It sounds like what key you're in and how high and low you want to go above that. So with the fifth and the octave, you can create a chord, right, with one finger. And I use those to do the other two fingers, more or less. And then have the dry knob in the middle mix your dry signal of your guitar back in or out, depending. Now, what's interesting about this is because you'll be able to use this for not just like creating a chord and sounding like you're making a bar chord, but probably some things that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do with your fingers otherwise. Maybe playing with some different fingering combinations and getting these various... I could just see the possibilities being very cool. This is an interesting, weird, kind of niche-y pedal, but it's pretty cool. The idea is cool. So after a weird, early release, leak, not really sure, accident, maybe kind of on purpose, I don't know. I don't know how this happened. But Marshall has officially released their old school pedals, the four old school pedals, the Blues Breaker, the Governor, the Drive Master, and the Shred Master in those original housings. So if you're got a packed up pedal board, you might not like that size because you know how that size goes, and with a little step up thing and stuff. They're kind of neat, vintage kind of feeling. They're $249 a piece, and all four of them are available. I'll try to leave a link to those in the description with some of this other stuff too. Neural DSP has come out with a whole new suite for Mesa Boogie stuff. The Mark II-C Plus. It's going to have a bunch. Well, there's a bunch of things here. There's like 4 different actually kind of varieties of this amp, I think. Something like right in there. You're also going to get a couple of pedals. You're going to get some drive pedals to push those. You're going to get a compressor. You're going to get a chorus. There's going to be some other stuff surrounding that to kind of round out this particular rig. The big thing is there's going to be a bunch of microphone combinations, and I think it says hundreds, so that must mean with the combination of microphones and various speaker cabinet IRs available, this thing's going to be super, super, super versatile. And so you're going to be able to have the Mark II-C in all of its glory, and not only that, the variety of combinations, pretty much anything you can think of between the pedals, the couple of varieties of amps, and all those IRs and speakers. Now this one's interesting. The Vox Clubman 60. You can see it here right here in the picture, and it is going to be basically kind of set up for hollow body guitars. It's going to be a 2-channel amp, but here's the thing: it's going to be NewTube technology. So we did some NewTube videos a few years ago. It looks like a little IC chip, but it does have. They do operate at very low voltages, but it does have cathode and anode and plate. It has the tube components and flying electrons, just in a circuit board mountable lower voltage variety that is supposed to act very realistic. I liked them, but I think I really liked those amps. But I think an application like this, where you want a very good clean tone and where you want it to be a good pedal platform, could be very cool. So it's a 2-channel thing with a very high headroom, low clipping kind of situation, and then a second channel that is a little bit more conventional to a normal guitar amp. You can put pedals in front of it, and it will really, really work well, apparently. I dig this, especially for a jazz situation, edge of breakup blues situation. That's kind of what it sounds like to me that this is kind of tailoring itself towards, because they're really kind of leaning this towards hollow body guitar players. This is really neat, and even the look of it too. You see, it's kind of classy, dressy looking. So this is an interesting concept, but I also think use the technology that it's good for. Use the technology in a way that it's kind of suits it thus far, and maybe we'll see how it develops into other stuff, but I think it'll really work in this application. Really cool. Fender has partnered with Troy Sanders from Mastodon to come out with a new bass. It is basically a PJ bass, but it is a silver burst. Really cool. It's got the high mass bridge. It's got Troy Sanders kind of specific pickups in it, wound for him, block inlays. It's really pretty. This thing is really dressed up. And with a gig bag, it must be, I'm assuming, it must be, this is not a fact, I don't know this for sure, but it must be made in Mexico, because it's right in that super cool price bracket that most of Fender's signature guitars are, right around the $1,500 mark. So I think this is a pretty neat way to get a very cool bass. Even if you're not like a huge Mastodon fan, I mean, you got to admit the thing is really classy looking. So to get those features for $1,500 kind of makes sense. This next one kind of sent me down a bit of a rabbit hole. So Eric Krasno, he plays with Lettuce, Tedeschi Trucks Band. He plays a D'Angelico, and he's a single coil guy. But you can see this guitar doesn't look very single coil. It looks more like a 335-ish sort of thing. But it's a Swamp Ash body 24/75 scale. But what really interests me is the pickups in this thing, because they're like a Strat. They're a Seymour Duncan, I believe, Strat pickup in a humbucker housing. This, let me know in the comments, not to like hijack this story, but let me know in the comments if that is something that you would be interested in. Strat tones, like legit Strat tones, in a humbucker sized thing. Because this story made me go down a bit of a design rabbit hole today, and let's just say it would be doable in very short order at Dylan Talks Tone. It's very cool. This idea, this whole idea of this pickup is very cool. So anyway, I'm really curious about this guitar, because Strat tones in a humbucker housing, I don't think they're hum canceling. If I did it, it wouldn't be hum canceling. Get in the comments and let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. It's a very interesting concept that I have to go down that road. I have to go down that road. Gibson Garage is doing something very interesting. They are selling some of their most valuable vintage guitars in a, what are they calling this? Certified vintage program. I don't know if this is just limited to guitars that they own, or if they're going to continue to acquire vintage Gibson guitars and then resell them, certify them, and resell them. A couple of examples. One example for it is a 59 Les Paul, serial number 90871. So real stuff, real money too. I mean, it's a 59 Les Paul, so it ain't gonna be cheap. But I think it's neat as a brand exercise and as a as a brand exercise and a brand strengthening exercise to be able to do that, to certify those vintage guitars, to make sure they're legit. They're going to come with certificates of authenticity and verification and a whole bunch of case candy and a whole bunch of other stuff. And no doubt the prices are going to reflect whatever the guitar is. I mean, obviously they're not going to sell that thing for $1,200. You know what I mean? But I love this idea, especially as a branding thing, as something to build brand loyalty. And as we know, the crowd of folks that buy this guitar are going to be in a certain group, but it does help with the provenance of the entire brand. I like this. I like this idea. I think it's really neat. Are we going to be able to grab one? I don't know. Can you still go get one? If you can go to Gibson Garage right now, do they still have them? If you're interested, go check it out, because I would if I could. Okay, my favorite story of the day. If you follow the channel for any amount of time, you'll know that there's a few guitars that I have on a list that I want to own. And if I were to own the vintage, I would love to own the vintage versions of these guitars, but of course, they can be a bit above, many of our means, and so sometimes you can't get them. The 58 Korina Explorer is, to me, one of the coolest guitars, and I know I'm mostly a Fender guy, but that has been one of the most cool guitars ever made, ever. I just think that guitar, with the gold hardware, I'm not normally a gold hardware guy, but the gold hardware, the white pickguard, that is, oh, I want one. They reissued them in 1975. So I've been on the hunt for a long time for a 75 Explorer, and they kind of have gone crazy a little bit too. So I've wanted to get my hands on one of these things. Epiphone has just released, or announced anyway, the V and the Explorer in the Korina body with the Korina neck, rosewood fretboard. It's the thing, 12-inch radius, it's a Gibson, right? So it's going to have all those normal specs. Gibson Burstbucker pickups for $12.99. I have to have one of these. I'm like so excited. I already sent an email to my Gibson guy. I don't think I'm going to be able to get one like for free to review, but I did tell him if there is one available for me to purchase, I want to buy it. I will pay my own money for it. So I'm trying to arrange that. Literally as we speak, as I've been shooting this, I just replied to an email. I'm getting my hands on one of these, if at all possible. I'm going to buy it. I want this. This is something that's been on my list for a really long time. I think the V and the Explorer in this spec, there is just nothing like it, right? So anyway, and I know it's an Epiphone. I do get it, but attainable for the majority of us at $14.99 or $12.99. I mean, the custom shop ones were $10,000. So this is a way to do it. So I am extremely excited about it. As soon as I saw this, the press release on this yesterday, I knew immediately what the headline story of today's news was going to be, because I'm so excited about owning one of these. So I'm going to do what I can to get my hands on one. It will be on the channel. You will see it. Will I keep it forever? I don't know. We'll have to see. If you're interested in owning one, let me know, because, sometimes we look at them and review them and then we sell them afterwards. So, but this is something I've always wanted. So I don't know, but we'll just have to see. I'll get it as soon as possible. Super cool guitar. We have a bunch of cool content coming out. Thursday, we have our live stream. Monday, we have another video coming out. Of course, we have the podcast on Tuesday. We have the news on Wednesdays. Stuff almost every day of the week for guitar-related content. We're doing a bunch more stuff on Patreon. I did take some time off last week. My sister was in town, so content was a little light last week. It's the first time I've taken time off in quite a while, so I appreciate the break. Thanks for everybody understanding that, but we are back and better than ever, and I feel really good about what's going on. We got some really cool stuff coming. So anyway, I think this is really neat. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and the like button, and also use those links. Even if you don't buy anything, just use those links to shop around. Because when you click on them, the folks that you click on, they can tell that you clicked, and they can tell that you're interested. And that really helps us as a channel, even if you don't buy anything. If you use those links and just click around some and do some shopping, they'll be like, oh yeah, they really are interested in this stuff. So it really does help me out. So thanks for hanging out, and we will see you tomorrow on our live stream with Leslie at 8 p.m. Eastern Time.